Leading representatives from across the food and drink supply chain came together to launch a campaign to find 75,000 new recruits for the industry at the Royal Welsh Showground in Builth-Wells. The Welsh Food and Drink Skills Project aims to place skills at the heart of government policy to create a vibrant industry for the future. Kevin Thomas, Conference Chair and Lantra's National Director for Wales, shared research findings which highlight an urgent need for new, skilled recruits for Wales's largest single employer, the food and drinks industry.
Indeed, a very warm welcome to Llanelwedd today, to the Future Skills Food for Thought conference run as part of the Food and Drink Skills Project.
Peter Jones, the Wales Commissioner for Sustainable Futures, got the ball rolling with an overview on how the Regional Development Programme is contributing to the Welsh rural economy and the desire to improve public procurement of Welsh food.
Our key message as a group is the concept of green growth. The Minister is absolutely committed to this.
And the Deputy Minister for Skills and Technology underlined the importance of creating viable career futures within the food and drink sector.
Skills are at the very centre. We need to ensure that we move to a high-skilled economy, and that means that we need to invest in young people and people already in work. What we need to do first of all is identify the skills that are required in the sector and then ensure that we align qualifications to the skills requirements, the needs of business in the sector.
We heard from Alison Jones, who works for Dunbeer, the abattoir which employs 650 people at its site in Llanybydder.
It's not a case of preaching to people who already know what they're talking about. It's a refresher, or it's just trying to learn something new. There's new issues coming up all the time, and it's just a method of coping with these issues.
How do you go about training farmers?
It's interesting. We don't call it training to start with. We make it as practical as possible. We go out onto farms, so they're not expected to come to us to sit in offices and listen to people. And it's a much more interactive process. If they learn one thing from the day, it's made a difference. And if they can change one thing at home, then hopefully it will help improve their profit margin.
The Welsh tourism industry was represented by Callum Milne, who outlined the serious shortage of skills within the industry.
There's a massive skills shortage here in Wales, and in fact we're playing catch up with the rest of the United Kingdom. I see a desperate shortage of skilled managers, skilled supervisors, skilled front of line workforce staff, and these are the basics that we need to get right. If we can't do this, we can't grow. As I said earlier, we can't grow the business to fulfil our customers' expectations, and what's more important is we're actually failing the staff that we have because they become dejected, insular looking, and really an expensive waste of time.
What do we need to do?
We really need to focus on training and more training. It is simple. We just need to drive it home every time that if we don't nurture them and don't look after them, we'll continue to face this crisis.
Philip Lay worked his way up from a bottle boy to being on the board of directors at Brains SA, the homegrown company which brews 200,000 barrels of beer a year, as well as employing almost 3,000 people. He stressed that qualifications for people entering the industry must be fit for purpose.
There's a plethora of qualifications out there and available, and it's really hard sometimes for employers to know what the value of each thing is because you've got no comparison. I think we just need less things done better, so that people, the employer, the person receiving the training, the parents and the educators all know what it's about. So it just needs to be cleared up and easier to navigate your way around the qualifications framework. Vocational training is easily as valuable as any academic training you can have. It's about experiences, it's about knowledge, very detailed knowledge of products and where you are. It's behavioural, and vocational training is absolutely the key to that. And I think we need to really raise the profile of vocational training again, particularly with schools and colleges, so they value it equally to more academic routes through education. When so many other industries have fallen by the wayside and struggled, tourism and hospitality is still growing, and that in itself is the opportunity.
Information technology was at the heart of Mark Parsons' presentation. He explained how IT is being used to engage students.
We've engaged with applications which does promote their learning, and that's been through thing called MenuPad, which we've been on beta trial from a company based in New Zealand. We're the first in Europe. We use QR codes. We use applications called Nearpod. We use current technology practices that happen in the big cities all around the United Kingdom, things like MenuPad. We used to have a 63% success rate, and that's because people would drop off the course, they'd stay up till Christmas, and they loved the vocational side of the cooking and the waiting on, but they didn't like all the heavy theory base behind it. So if we make it more fun and make it sort of the modern learner, they're actually engaged in their learning, they find it's fun, they get that information through stealth, as I said before, and they stay on the course. That's improved our success rates to 97%, the best in Wales.
Philip Drakeford from Careers Wales emphasised the need to demystify the language of training and called on employers to give young people a chance to gain experience of the industry. And details of the Welsh Government's action plan for the food and drink industry were revealed by David Morris and Richard Harris.
Food is really cross-cutting in government in terms of government policy and ministers' portfolios, and it's really important that the Food Action Plan gets it right for the industry, to grow the industry, to develop jobs and to do it in a sustainable way.
There was lively debate on the need to improve the image of the food and drink supply chain as a potential career. Food entrepreneur and broadcaster Simon Wright explained the approach his family business has taken to train their young staff. And most passionate on the subject of inspiring the next generation was Emily Davis from Pembrokeshire.
We are working with primary schools and secondary schools. We've so far welcomed 170 primary school pupils to the farm, and they get to see the day-old chicks, and then they also get to see our on-site processing factory as well. So it's just reinforcing the education, of the link between food and farming.
Why do you feel that this is necessary?
It's so necessary because we can't expect to create this skilled workforce within the food industry if the children at a young age don't actually understand where food comes from. They've got to understand that, agriculture has to produce it before they can actually go and create the product or hand it out in a restaurant or even cook with it.
The message is clear. Skills and training play a vital role in developing lifelong, rewarding careers.
Definitely tourism was mentioned today as being important in the food agenda in terms of the training and making those other links within the Welsh Government. So I think that's what I'll take away with me today, as well as the discussion about where do we start on making the industry look more attractive to young people. So the training side of it is all very key as well, and we're looking at skills within tourism, within the tourism industry, so there's definitely cross-working to be done there, I think.
I think the key message for me is that there's an enormous amount of work to do to join the industry together and to get the training right all the way from one end to the other. It's an industry that's so diverse. At one end we've got farmers producing stuff, and at the other end we've got little bed and breakfasts putting that stuff on their tables, and it's joining those two together and getting the training right throughout the whole process.
I think sometimes the agricultural sector and food sector can be perceived as being slightly less attractive than some other sectors. So I think it's come across strongly that once you're in the sector, it's quite easy to get into the sector, and once you're in there you can upskill yourself, upskill a company and grow within a company role, which I think is crucial for the economy in Wales.
The food and drink industry is flourishing despite the recession, generating around £6.5 billion in sales revenue annually, and it has a key part to play in securing economic growth in Wales. Now that's food for thought.